All right, so let's get started. Since we only have 8 minutes, I tend to talk fairly fast, so bear with me, but we're gonna talk through a 7 pitching habit for highly effective Corona-proof startups. All right, my name is Edith Yeung. I actually started a new fund called Proof of Capital with 3 of my amazing partners. But previously I was at 500 startups and spent 10 years mostly enterprise software, Siebel, Oracle, Autodesk. Also built Dolphin from 0 to 150 million install worldwide, sold it to Changyou. And then I joined 500 and now Proof of Capital. So in the next 8 minutes, I'm going to share with you the 7 pitching habits, and some of them are actually particular, very specific to this really, really strange time of COVID-19. But the fundamental of pitching to investor is really the same, right? Just to start with, always think about, by the way, is our job to invest, no matter what time period, even though right now it is kind of strange, but it is our job to vet deal, to invest in deals. But from as a founder or an entrepreneur, it's always, you need to research, okay, what's the state, check size, industry, vertical, are some of these investors are most focused on, which I'm going to share a little bit on what we're focusing on now and what kind of industry we'll have a hard time later on. But it's always the best to get introduction from your existing investor or other entrepreneur that a particular investor had invested already. But having said that, I do want to share with you, there are a few categories, at least for us, I've been paying a lot of attention to and really happy to invest regardless, because our thesis is not just about things that is now, it's actually about things that 10 years from now. What are some of the behavioral change that is going to stick with us for a long time? So communication, collaboration, for enterprise and both consumer, video infrastructure, embedded fintech, open source, open data infrastructure, cybersecurity, data analytics, and data automation for enterprise. So these are very enterprise. I found like I've been talking to a lot of developers that are doing very infrastructure focused things. And then there's a whole bunch of other industry which we found very interesting. Like biotech, pharmaceutical, online media, gaming, education, healthcare, food delivery, logistics, smart city, telecommunication. These are all really interesting industry, but unfortunately, like I don't have a biotech or a medical doctor degree, so we're not qualified to invest in this, but there are plenty of other really awesome investors. Do pay attention. It is could potentially be a good time if you're working on these categories. And then there's a whole other set of vertical that, yeah, if you're working on anything related to airline, travel, ride sharing, hotel, luxury goods, consumer services, like face-to-face, any offline experience, you probably will have a very tough time. So just be mindful of that, you know what, it's not that longer term, maybe 3 to 6 months from now, it's not that they won't invest, but right now is probably not a good time. All right, habit number 2 is just a similar to what we're doing right now. And I actually, when you pitch, it's never about the word that you say. It's always about how you make the person feel. And now particularly, it's very, very tough, right? You can't even meet your investor. And you have to do most of this, just like what I'm doing, the pitch via Zoom, that you can't really feel the energy, but you can still do it, right? You don't have to be monotone. I took a screenshot because I had was watching a stand-up comedy over Zoom last night. So this is a screenshot, and you notice like people who are very expressive, you can still use your hand, still have intonation of and show your passion, because this is what investor wanted to feel, that you're excited about what you're working on, even though over Zoom. Number 3 is pitch your story. Make it short, sweet, relevant, and really sort of talk about why are you, particularly as a founder, uniquely qualified to build your startup. Maybe it's a personal story. A lot of folks that actually, by the way, like we don't invest in anything that is trying to sell mass, just not what we invest in. But if you are, maybe it's something that you're super relevant to you because personally, you have go through certain hardship. Just you have to kind of think about how is that related to you and why you qualify, and especially why you and why now, right? And always pitch it. If like whatever that you're working on, the first question I usually ask you is, have you launched it? Yes or no? And if yes, it's all about traction. What's your revenue, download, engagement? What are sort of the major partnership? And usually, if you're doing B2B, more enterprise, it's okay if you are early stage that you don't necessarily generate revenue, but still we want to see some sort of proof of concept, some sort of POC. What's your long-term vision? If you have a product demo, we usually love to see it start with that. Have a good understanding of the trend, particularly what's going on now. Every single pitch that we are doing, I always going to ask, how is the current environment impacting your business? How are you actually planning from a cash flow, marketing, sales, revenue? Everything need to be adjusted. How are you dealing with all that? So this is very particular with what's going on now, that you have to be ready to basically answer all these questions because everybody have to deal with now. And also really understand, this is really understand like the big picture, right? Know your competitors, know what's the long-term game, not just, hey, we some of our portfolio companies are telling us, oh my God, because of COVID, and now we have all these amazing downloads. There's also good thing, right? Because everybody's sitting at home. A lot of sort of the entertainment side of things is they're doing well, but are all these free users going to turn into, are they still going to be users 6 months from now? Who knows? And how you planning on monetizing, even though you're doing well now, but they're all free users. So kind of think about long-term marketing, long-term potentials. And we also think that because there's a sort of dramatic impact to the whole world right now, there got to be legal and certain policy that, a lot of startups in the US are all applying for the PPP on the program from the government. Is that going to be long-term? So there's all these things that you would need to know, not just now, but long-term. And then always follow up, like within 24 hours. And in fact, I usually would encourage a lot of my companies, if they're raising later stage round now, is to basically have your follow-up email ready to go even before your pitch. So you can immediately fire off your deck, sort of make sure that you answer any questions that the investor have for you, anything of sort of follow up. Don't even wait for 24 hours because you're sitting at home anyway. You may as well just send within an hour, but you do need to expect, you probably need to wait for a longer response. It's unfortunate because in your email, follow-up email, thank them, send a deck, current traction, action, follow-up phone call, follow-up, add potential investor, ask them if it's okay to add them, knowing that they may hold off for any investment decision because it is a strange time, but keep that relationship alive. Add them and ask them, is it okay to sort of show, add them to the regular update, but do expect that. I know many of the investors are really have a, hold and see what will happen after 3 to 6 months, just because right now is definitely not a very good time on fundraising per se. But I don't want you to stop for fundraising, but at least you do have to expect some investors are slowing down in terms of capital deployment. And then last but not least, ask for your existing investor for help. Ask for help, particularly for your existing investor. It's our duty to support our portfolio company, communicate, even though it's bad news, even though, oh my God, I only have, hopefully, if you guys have less than 6 months of run rate, ask for help. And you really need to, we usually ask our portfolio company to raise at least a year, between a year to 2 years, just in case. But if you are less than 6 months, really ask for help. you need to make sure that you communicate, adjust your revenue goal, adjust all your customer expectation, adjust your burn. Everything need to be adjusted, and is really, really hard to say. And right now, I think worldwide is worried about second wave, and it is happening. And we got to be super careful. And because of that, as CEO and founders, you need to prepare for the worst. And worst case scenario, there's no worst case scenario, but still, you need to make sure that you communicate, reach out to your investor for help. And if you really need to raise now, it is what it is, but a warm intro and referral is always the best. So with that, that's the 7 habits. Pitch to the right investor, pitch with a purpose, with story, communicate why you, why now, understand the big picture beyond COVID, always follow up, ask for help from your existing investors. That's my email address. That's my blog. I have a newsletter that I send out every Monday called the Silicon News. Is focused on all the funding and M&A, particularly for Silicon Valley. But I look forward to connecting with all you. Thank you for having me. Thank you.